Hello and welcome to BW TV. Today I'm joined by Mr. Michael Jain, who's the director and CEO of Belair Travels. Now, Belair Travels has become one of the first travel platform in India to be accredited by the International Air Transport Association. Of course, we're going to talk about it, listen in as to what it means from Mr. Jain. But Mr. Jain, my first question to you, in terms of revival of the tourism industry, 2022 was a fantastic year. Going forward in this year ahead, what would be some of the factors in your understanding for this boom to sustain for this industry?
I think the boom has nothing to do with the post-COVID. I think that India was already on a boom in terms of aviation pre-COVID. It is just that it got paused during COVID, and I think the next 10 years are really golden era of Indian aviation coming along, especially with the Air India and its expansion and overall income of people going up and people wanting to travel more. So for example, people who were on a train earlier would now aspire to come onto a flight, and I think just that growth in itself is enough to sustain the boom for another 10 years to come.
Right, and what are some of the ticketing trends that you're seeing on your platform?
So if you look at trends, I think tier 2, tier 3 cities in terms of domestic are doing exceptionally well. I'm not too sure whether it is people working from home in their hometowns and then traveling from there that is affecting this, but yeah, I think tier 2, tier 3 cities are doing exceptionally well.
Right. So, Mr. Jain, for our viewers, let us try and understand as to what this accreditation means from the IATA. In simple terms, if you could make us understand that what makes this accreditation that important for you, since you're the first platform in India to achieve this, and because you're first, also explain as to what makes it that difficult to get this.
So the IATA Go Global accreditation is ideally for companies that have want to expand globally and want to set up IATA locations in multiple countries. The reason why it is very difficult is because IATA has very stringent rules, and they also have a requirement for you to be audited every quarter, and this in itself makes it very difficult for people to adhere to. The other very important factor is that Indian companies find it very difficult to go and set up abroad in the first place because of their structure and because they have a very India centric focus. India is definitely on the growth path, but if you want to be successful, you have to have a global view and vision, according to me, and this is how this global accreditation is going to really help us to accelerate that.
So in terms of passengers benefiting from it, are there any immediate benefits for them, or if you could explain on that?
So I think the benefits for a passenger lie in terms of the price offering that we can give over a medium to long term. So what happens with the global accreditation, as we set up more offices outside and we are able to do much better, bigger global deals, as our volume also increases, it becomes a much better proposition for airlines to deal with us, and this helps us negotiate slightly better prices, which we can then further offer to our customers.
Right, and in terms of the growth trajectory that you're seeing for Belair Travels from here, what's the expansion plans looking like for you right now?
So the next few years are quite exciting. We've already opened office in Singapore, in Dubai, in South Africa, in the US, UK, and we plan to open another 10 offices hopefully over the next 1 year. Each of those locations we are hoping will produce as good numbers as we are producing already in India. UK is already as good as our India numbers, and hopefully the others will also produce the same sort of numbers. So the growth for us through this global expansion is going to be quite large.
So Mr. Jain, in terms of competing, this market has a lot of dedicated players over there already, and now there are fintech platforms who are offering some services. What would be the strategy to compete in the market for your taking that share in the market?
I think the word competing, I don't like that word too much, because I think there is space for everyone.
Okay.
With the amount of growth that is in the aviation market, even if you don't compete and you just give a good service and you give a good price, organically also you can grow quite significantly without having to steal someone else's share. There is enough for everyone.
Okay. And in terms of the services, you're focusing clearly on flights. What are some of the other areas that you will be bullish on in the coming year?
Predominantly, we are very strong on the flight business, but we have added already hotels as well, and I think this is going to be also a very strong growth driver. Even though it is a very different business, but it is a very complementary business, and we are quite bullish on the hotels as well.
Mr. Jain, my last question to you. You had one of the committees on civil aviation as part of an industry body, and given how we've seen some snags in terms of civil aviation infrastructure and a lot of debate on it, especially in the month of December this past year, what would be some of the way forward or reforms that you would like to suggest to the government as part of that industry body and heading the committee on civil aviation, to reform our civil aviation infrastructure? What is that need of the hour?
So I think firstly, I think the government has already done a lot of good things. For example, if you look at the initiative of Digi Yatra, which has been launched recently, I think this is a fantastic move. But I think the big job really ahead is the upgradation of our infrastructure. We can already see some new airports coming in, but the existing airports, for example, Delhi, we need to improve the equipment. For example, change the scanning equipment to CT scanners. I believe there is already some pilot projects going on. So I think work is in progress. Rome wasn't built in a day. It will take a little bit time, but I think we are already in the right direction. But ultimately, it is about infrastructure improvement. Also, if you look, if India really wants to grow to become a global leader in aviation, we need to also increase our hub and spoke model, which can also only be done through very good infrastructure at the airport. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done, even though I think a lot of work has already been done, but still we are going in the right direction.
Mr. Jain, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very
for
much.
Talking to us.
Thank you.
That's it on this edition of BW Dialogue and on BW TV. Thank you so much.